cold. We commanding the block, burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. KDot and Amit, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so share this shit. KDot.
Welcome everyone to District Divide, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is KDot. This episode, we got some brand new, old, new uniforms. Super Bowl era alternate uniforms have been released by the team. Looks like everyone loves them. You'll get our reactions to them in just a moment here. So we're leading the show with that. The rest of the show is going to be about Terry McLaurin. Still has not signed his deal. Training camp right around the corner. If he were to sign a deal, what do we think the years and annual value would be? So we're going to talk about a contract that we would draw up for him each. And then it is, well, what if he never signs? What if he got traded or something like that? What does the offense look without Terry McLaurin? So we're going to discuss that comment mailbag as we always do. Before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and KDot.
Am I out of focus?
A little.
Kind of dig it. It's like I'm like a apparition.
That happens sometimes.
All right. Super Bowl threads in white, burgundy, and gold. Fuck that other white jersey, because this one's gold. History hits. The fit's legit. Y'all know the deal. Let's share this shit.
Share this shit. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into those new, old, alternate uniforms over there, KDot, where they are clean. It's white. It's classic. Once again, it's that Super Bowl era. The Commanders put out a video showing the history, what we've done in the uniforms, and everyone seems to absolutely love them. And count me in that group, because I absolutely love these, KDot. I think the Commanders hit this out of the park. But really, when it comes to the uniforms, we want your reaction. So what do you think?
I don't know why this just can't be the white jersey. I think everybody knows that, like, I've come to terms with, like, I like the black jersey. I like the burgundy jersey. I hate our white jersey. Yeah. So, like, to hear that this was, like, as far as them transitioning as this being an alternate uniform, this was music to my ears. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. Yeah, they look cold. Like, it's not and the thing is, like, it's subtle in the sense of the ways that it's different than, like, the Washington football team bullshit or anything that's been recently. Even if you're talking about, like, this is pre-Dan Snyder era, this is the Super Bowl era. You look at that font that they got on the back, and it just separates just a little bit, makes it feel just a little more classic. Now, trust me, I prefer my 75th anniversary show. Like, I think this is the smoothest shit we've ever done, but this is fucking close. And I think that as far as, like, really trying to everybody, hey, we hate the name. Fuck those people. But hey, we hate the jersey. We want something that's a little more of a look back towards the past and this, that, and the other. I think they nailed it. The idea of, like, what it is specifically we're harping back to in order to find that, like, the Super Bowl era. I want to be the motherfucker who came up with that. I need to find out who came up with that. Who came up with that pitch? Because it's a great fucking pitch. It's a great way to say, all right, that's what we can say we're going to hold on to. We're not going to hold, like, if people got a problem with Dan Snyder, I mean, if anybody watched our history of the Commanders and Redskins last week, do you really want anything that was designed by George Preston Marshall? Probably not. Do you want anything designed by Dan Snyder and his? Probably not. So what do? Super Bowl era. Jack can't cook. Crazy wife. Cool. Let's do it. Let's fucking go. I'm all for it.
They are absolutely fantastic. And props to them. We did say this last week. We've said this on prior episodes. Josh Harris swinging a hot bat. So he once again knocks this one out of the park. The uniforms will be worn 3 times. You can wear your alternate uniforms up to 4 times a season. These new old threads, will be worn 3 times. So that black alternate uniform can be worn once, is what it sounds like when you do that. Week 9 against the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football. Week 13 against the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football. And then Christmas Day against the Dallas Cowboys. So we're going to get to see it against a divisional rival and then a couple other primetime games. Very, very excited there, KDot. It also fit that sort of simple look that you had talked about specifically last week when we were talking about the uniforms. Any final thoughts here before we move over to Terry McLaurin?
Number one, that Broncos game's looking even more enticing.
I thought of you immediately.
I just need to pull the trigger. I don't know what the fuck I'm waiting to coordinate with everybody because I ain't just gonna buy a ticket and everybody like, oh. So I'm trying to do that. But it's just clean. Like I said, I've not been somebody that thinks that we needed to harp back on everything that we've done in the past as far from a uniform standpoint. I don't think they've been perfect. I just want something that I like better than what it is I liked previously. And I can tell you without a shadow of doubt, I like these more than I like the fucking white ones. Do I like these probably more than I like the black or the red? I think the nostalgia factor is probably playing in a whole bunch, but if I'm looking at strict just design, I don't know. There's some give and take. Like these things are not like none of the other uniforms are going to have the history of this one was, but those black uniforms had some pretty special fucking moments. So I don't know. Those are growing in my estimation. But it's just interesting. I like the idea that we look better. I just want us to look better. I just want something way more in line with what the fuck it is that I consider to be aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and John Keim had even mentioned in a tweet that the current jerseys, it looks like the whites in particular, like we're the Arizona Cardinals. Right. So it's cool for this because I think everyone resonated with the colors and everyone resonated with the simplicity. It was like, oh, that's our team. Right now we're getting back into the look of the team. So I think it's a great move.
I still prefer gold pants.
Any issues with the helmet remaining largely the same? Not entirely the same, of course, but largely the same in terms of the logo and stuff like that. Some people wanted a spear, feather, etc. Any problems there?
I think it's just more people and what it is. The closer you get to how much you want the uniform to look like the one in the past is how close you get to wanting the team name to come back, pretty much, right? It's like a fucking spectrum. Like, how far do you want to be on the goddamn thing? Are there other elements of things in the past that could have been included on this that would have been cool? Yeah, like I said, I like these stripes more than I like those stripes. I like gold pants more than I like the burgundy pants. I think a spear is probably more dynamic and cool than a W. But that being said, if you can't have everything you want, you're trying to find that balance and still trying to maintain that they're going to be the Washington Commanders, and we still need to make sure we maintain that brand, then that aspect of it, I think they found the perfect balance. If you're unhappy with these, and I think you're being unreasonable and you want things to go back to a certain way that they're just not going to. So come to terms with it or not, but they're trying to reach out and they're trying to do the best thing they can to reach as many people across the fan spectrum as possible without being problematic or shitty about it.
Mm-hmm. And when they also showed the Raise Hail, you did see that classic R as well come back in that font. So that was also a nice little touch that was discussed a little less than the uniforms, of course, and understandably so, but a nice touch as well.
Agreed.
And with that, let's go ahead and talk about somebody we'd love to see in these uniforms, Terry McLaurin, who, as we all know, is an absolute stud, but based on reports from the national media, and once again, I'm going to say national media here, it seems like they're still far apart on a deal. Now, could things accelerate this week because training camp is right around the corner? Absolutely. Once again, the rookies report July 18th, so a week from today, and the veterans report July 22nd. So we're getting there, right?
Yep.
And a lot of deals get done around this time. So, KDot, the question to you, this is going to be two parts of this Terry McLaurin discussion, but beginning with the contract. Mm-hmm. What do you think that number is going to be, assuming you think Terry McLaurin is signing here? So I want years and I want total dollar value or annual average value.
I don't know. Like, that's the thing that I keep going back to is like, I'm pondering it all fucking day. And it's just like, everybody knows the number of the threshold is the 30 million. And I think that that's the thing is like, as I've said here on the pod more than once, I think when you start looking at the nitty gritty and the comparables, it gets a little interesting. Terry's contract is one that is now outdated. He's outplayed that contract, period. Like, you look at the inflation as far as the salary cap and everything else. They got a good deal. He's gone beyond that. But as everybody knows, as far as front from a front office standpoint, you got a receiver, you got anybody from a skills position player standpoint, hitting 30 years old, you take a pause. And if you're looking at like what the comps are around like 30 and plus receivers that are happening in the league right now, what you got Tyreek Hill, he's at what
3 years 90.
3 years 90. Mike Evans 2 years 41, not really comparable. We don't want to be on that side, right? Like nobody's looking at that, even though maybe the team's like, hey, maybe you're more in line with Mike Evans than you are in line with some of the topper echelon guys. I don't think anybody really believes that we're looking at a talent standpoint that he's worth that Terry McLaurin is worth Jamar Chase, that Terry McLaurin is worth Justin Jefferson. There is another element of like, would you even say, I know that we talked about it as far as what would happen if the trade would have happened over the course of this last year, but is he worth more or less than T. Higgins? And T. Higgins is the number 2 receiver. So, like, at the end of the day, it's like you got T. Higgins being a number 2 receiver. You got Terry McLaurin, a 6-year pro, who's a number 1 receiver, true number 1. But if I'm still looking at it from a T. Higgins standpoint when it comes to age and just basically talent, do I think that he's more of a – is he a better receiver than it is Terry McLaurin? I think you get some interesting you get some interesting thoughts. You get the DK Metcalf. There's a contract that also from a comparison standpoint, but he's younger. So, like, it's a really weird situation everybody's in as far as, like, what's going to happen. I think that, like, if it's going to get done and get done immediately without any fanfare, if it's true that there is a chasm, I'm probably looking at, I think it's about 3 years at 31 a year, somewhere around at 31, 32. I just think it's just a bump up above to get it done and to get him in the house. The only other thing that I am not entirely sure about, and that's something that if you haven't done it, I would tell you, Pablo Torre, great journalist. Used to be on Around the Horn. He's got a show on YouTube. Him and Mike Florio just did a pod about contract guarantees and collusion in the NFL. It's fucking great. It's really fucking good. And then there was also, I think, what was it? I think you mentioned it. Brett Coleman or somebody did the contract one. There's been a lot of good contract discussion stuff that's come out recently. But that's the guarantees is the other thing that I'm not entirely sure what it is they're going to do with that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And I'm glad we ended up exploring this, KDot, because, man, I mean, we talk about his age, right? 29 going on 30. So how many people have even greater than a 3-year deal, 3 years or greater?
Yep.
Calvin Ridley signed one at age 29, 4 years, 92. Terry obviously worth a whole lot more than that. And then it's Tyreek Hill, 3 years, 90. And that's all you really have, right? Devontae Adams just signed a deal, 2 years, 44 at age 32 with the LA Rams. Okay. Well, I think right now Terry's better, and he's certainly played better, but it's a conversation for some folks, right? Like, I even saw your reaction just then, like, I don't know. It's Devontae Adams, you know? Then you get into, excuse me, DK Metcalf. They're the same year, right? They're not the same age, but they're the same year.
Right.
2019. So that makes that super interesting. And that's 4 years, 132. So now that's part of the equation. And finally, trading for Deebo Samuel is a big thing because next year, assuming Deebo does his thing, you're looking at virtually the same negotiation. And I think right now, what Adam Peters is trying to do and what the front office is trying to do is have a number such that they can sign both, right? They get Terry and they get Deebo, and they're not hamstrung. They can still do other things. And I think that's why this one is taking longer than usual. So when I look at all that, where do I think, what do I think Terry deserves? It's beyond DK's number. It's probably 3 years, 100, right? So that puts him over the annual average value of DK. But like when you go ahead, KDot.
I don't know if I'm there.
See, so that's the conversation.
Right.
And it's a lot to do with his age. Also because it mirrors Deebo's basically. Deebo's just a little younger. So like we're thinking 2 negotiations is I think what's happening right now. You don't see 4-year deals. I think if Terry's going for that, he's got a tough uphill to climb because Calvin Ridley's the only one. And again, that's 4 years, 92. So Good luck there. But is he worth more than Brandon Ayuk? 4 years, 120? I think so. Is he worth more than a number 2 in T. Higgins in terms of value to this team? I think so. So the $30 million a year number, I think he's earned. I think he's deserved. He was older for his draft class year. Not his fault. He's produced every single year. He's been in the league 5 years, 1,000-yard receiving, 11 different quarterbacks. He's earned it.
Mike Evans.
Mike Evans. I mean,
20. Terry, you want 20? You want 21?
I think we end up hitting that 30 number. I think it'll end up being, so I think 3 years, 100, I'm fine with. But I think what it'll end up being is probably what you were saying about 32 annual. But I don't know that the team's necessarily happy about that. 3 years, 96, that's what AJ got last year, AJ Brown.
That's where I'm at.
Do you have to eclipse that, though?
I don't think I do.
Okay.
That's my thing is like, I'm at 3 years. How much did AJ get guaranteed? I don't remember the number, but
I can look it up for you while you're talking.
3 years, 96 mil. I think that to me is where I'm in the comfort zone. And I think that's probably where it is. The Terry's guys are saying, well, we want the 100 mil.
84 million guaranteed.
65 guaranteed to Terry.
So now it's lower than AJ's.
I think it's low. I'm not paying him. I'm not paying Terry McLaurin what I pay AJ Brown. I just don't think I do. All right, come on. Like all shit aside, fantasy draft. You're a GM in the NFL, and AJ Brown and Terry McLaurin are both available. Who are you picking?
AJ Brown and Terry McLaurin?
Or Terry McLaurin. You got to pick between the two.
I would take AJ because he's younger and he's got.
There you go. It's just that's what it is. He's coming off a fucking Super Bowl victory. He had a large part to do with what it is they did last season. It is what it is. But so like that's where I don't think. Look, personally, the Commanders fan in me is like, pay the man what he wants.
Right.
He deserves that shit. But when you actually get into the nitty gritty and you look at it, I'm like, I don't know, man. And like, and the thing is, like, if we're looking at it as far as from what it is, nobody wants them to be in a situation where he's holding down the next year. They're looking at the franchise tag, which I think the franchise tag is just north of 30 mil.
It is just north of 30. Yeah.
I don't think this franchise that's stupid, but I mean, look, I got an alternate theory that I was positing. Could this all be a work? Is this all bullshit? Is this posturing in the sense of they pretty much know where it is they're going to do as far as guarantee? I still think that frame with that 3 year 96 is probably where they're at. Terry gets to hold out and show that he's got something. His agents who don't represent a whole lot of motherfuckers in the NFL and gotta need to kind of rep on their own. Hey, we're doing what we can do for our client. And then on the other side, you got Adam Peters in the front office for the Commanders basically being like, look, we want to make sure everybody knows we're not going to be any fucking pushovers. And even if you got Mr. Commander him fucking self, don't mean you're guaranteed shit here. So they could easily put that mini camp money back on the back end of some contracts. Which I ain't worried about that, right? So like, to me, the only time we actually get into, like, once again, I am nervous about this entire situation until he's in fucking uniform. But until that, July 22nd date?
Yep.
We're still in this. We're still in this completely. And the fact is that I'm not hearing a whole lot of animosity. I'm not hearing shit from local reporters. I'm hearing whispers from people that are national, and it's never anything concrete. Terry's not happy with the situation. No shit. He wants money, and it's not there. But he's still in Europe enjoying himself, right? So, like, there have been other receivers of the period over course of history that have seen sort of similar situations. You look at Larry Fitzgerald in Arizona. Tons of times there were situations where it was like, all right, well, his contract's up. They need to do this. Not tons of times. But it happened a few times. And you talk about a lifelong, I mean, come on, it's Larry fucking Fitzgerald, right? But shit would happen in Arizona. There might be a little stir about it from a national standpoint. And then the deal got done and it was over, right? So, like, I still think most likely a deal gets done. But because I honestly do think that I think it could be a work. I think it could be Terry's agents just trying to flex for him. I think they're trying to take advantage of the fact that they know he's Mr. Commander. And the fact is that, like, he's not only Mr. Commander, he's the consummate professional. They just want him to get paid. Now,
here, KDot, if I can, just to further illustrate to everybody who maybe isn't familiar with, they might be familiar with that 30 million number. They may not know who all are making it. So I'll quickly run through the contracts and age at the time of signing for these guys. Jamar Chase, 4 years, 161 million. He just come off the Triple Crown. He did a hold in. He proved it. And he ended up making his money, 25 years old when he signed that. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson, 4 years, 140 million. That's 35 million average annual value there. 25 years old when he signed it. CeeDee Lamb, 4 years, 136 million. 34 million per year. 25 when he signed it. DK Metcalf, 4 years, $132 million. That's that 33 number we talked about. Same draft class as Terry. 27 when he signed that. AJ Brown, 3 years, 96, 26 when he signed that. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 years, 120, 24 when he signed that. Brandon Ayuk, 4 years, 120, 26 when he signed that. And Tyreek Hill, 30 when he signed his 3 years, 90. That's just framing the conversation. That is just putting an expectation on that Terry number. And I know the front office, it's their job to balance the future with the present. And that's why you get agents involved, is so that there are no hard feelings. I still think this gets done, just to be clear. And I still think it gets done before training camp, just to be clear. And I've held through the whole way, but I do start worrying if we do not have a deal done by training camp. That's where I'm at.
All right, so the worry is setting in training camp. So July 22nd is your date that you're going to start worrying.
Correct.
All right, just so that everybody kind of knows. Like I've also been seeing a lot of Twitter where it's starting to get in that territory that usually these things happen, and where you got some people are starting to be on the Commanders camp side, some people are starting to be on the Terry camp side. I'd probably say it's more on Terry camp side than it is on the Commanders side. Just we got a more history of one guy compared to the other, right?
Correct.
If you're the Commanders and you're truly looking at this, fuck all that loyalty shit, fuck all that heart and soul shit. It's strictly, I'm looking around the league, I'm looking at your age, I'm looking at the comps compared to everybody else. Do you truly think 3 years, $100 million is something you would just say fuck it and sign, or are you going to hold out to see whether or not you can get a little less than 100 mil?
You're saying, if
you're
I'm
the front
the
office if you're the team.
Yeah, so that's where I get into what you're saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the posturing and stuff like that. And that may be the team in their back pocket, I think would be something closer to 3 years, 97, just to beat AJ's number. It's in the division, etc. I think they have that in their back pocket and they go, okay, here you go. But we see if Terry agrees to something less beforehand. I think that's probably what's going on.
But if you're Terry's agents, you might want 100 mil.
But you're going to be a year older, and
but you're Mr. Commander, and more importantly, you walk into that room with Adam Peters and everything. It's like, yo, you got that rookie quarterback back there. You went and got Laramie Tunsil. You went and got Deebo Samuel. There ain't nobody in that motherfucking locker room that got a better connection with him than me. You want to do that? It's $100 million. Give me the money.
I listen. If I am the front office, I'm giving him that. I'm just being clear. I'm on the Terry side. If we're doing the Terry Commander side, I'm on Terry's side because we have history with the guy and we know what kind of leader he is. We know what kind of character he is. And I have zero questions that when it comes to his age versus everybody else, he built different, man. He just is. I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen other people at this age. They don't do shit. People are saying, is Deebo already over the hill? He's a year younger. I mean, like, and Terry just had 13 touchdowns, include the postseason 16 touchdowns. I got no problems with this man. So 3 years, $100 million. I'm good.
Just saying the inverse could also be true. Like you could look for the Deebo thing to say that the Terry thing might not go down forever. Like I'm just
you could, but I'm saying Terry already being 29,
right,
not being as aged in the league.
I get where you're saying.
He has more time.
I understand that. Look, man. I just think I can see both camps' side. Perfect.
I can too.
And the idea that like they're going to try to work this out and they come out somewhere in the middle, I'm cool with that. Seems like a true negotiation. But if the word comes, and I don't think the word would come out afterwards if it did go bad or whatever, right? But I tell you that like to me, I'm looking at around 98 mil. Or if I find out that that's the benchmark, if it was 98 mil was offered and it wasn't taken, I'm going to be upset. I would be at Terry's camp. And then
actually, I probably would be too. If 3 years, 98 was offered and the guarantees were high, right?
I still don't think
like
the guarantees won't touch AJ, but yeah, 70, maybe 65, 70.
70, I think is fine.
That's right.
Know? If you're literally guaranteeing him his last contract, which is essentially what you'd be doing.
Right.
How are you not taking that? Like, so
That's
at that moment, I would think Terry's probably getting bad advice.
right.
Because then you're a year older, you could get hurt, and then you're back at the negotiating table when you could have hit that over 30 million threshold. And based on, I believe it was James Palmer that said this, national media guy, that he's in no way looking to beat Jamar's number. I know we had that conversation, very briefly, but he's like, yeah, no, he's not looking for that, but he is looking at that 30 million number and trying to exceed that. So 3 years, 98, it looks like we're in about the same area.
We're in the same area. I think
anywhere from 3 years, 96 to 3 years, 100, which is the high end, is what we're looking at.
Yeah, that's the thing. To get the 9 digits, it's just but the
it's the ego.
So 98, we know if that got offered 98 3 years and Terry's camp turned down, we think bad advice. What's the threshold as far as what's the number for the team for us to be pissed off at the team?
Oh, if something comes out and we're like,
something comes out, the deal didn't get happen. Right.
Anything under that 30. If it was 3 years, 90, or I'm sorry, like 3 years, 89 or something like that, or heck, even 3 years, 90, I would be upset. Like, I think it needs to be beyond that 30 number.
What about 4 years, but under 30?
That then I would want to know the guaranteed number. If I had that information, if it's a high guaranteed, then I'm like, okay, I think it's a fair deal. Yeah. If it's a low guarantee, I think you lowballed him. But I think Terry would be interested in a 4th year.
That's what it's the trade-off.
That's interesting.
That to me is like the more and more that you do, the more you dig into this contract situation, the more you start digging into the comps and how few there are that really fit this particular situation and how crazy the money is in the NFL and has been growing exponentially in the last years where there aren't any really good comps. The more you start saying that, like, yeah, there's a conversation here. There's definitely a conversation between two camps that need to kind of get addressed because it's not plain. Jamar Chase, plain. Justin Jefferson, pretty plain. Like, it's like those guys, like, you kind of know.
Let's look at other guys that are plain that should get done. You'd think you got TJ Watt, just make him the highest paid non-quarterback. That's it. That's the end of your discussions. That's it.
More of a Pittsburgh thing. That's a Pittsburgh thing.
Fair enough.
I get what you're saying.
But that's what the negotiation is. He'll get it from somebody else. Guaranteed if he doesn't get it from Pittsburgh.
But you heard what it is that the Pittsburgh Steelers apparently said to TJ Watt and his team.
No, I didn't hear that.
You're lucky you're a Steeler. And TJ Watt's response was, you're lucky you have me. That's where they're at.
So that's fine. But things will be said, whatever. He will ultimately be the highest paid non-quarterback.
100%.
That's an easy negotiation.
Right.
Trey Hendrickson should be easy, but Cincinnati's going to Cincinnati this whole thing. They should get to highest paid DN number right now. And then TJ beats that one.
Beats that.
Right. If they let TJ sign first, and that's in division. And now there's a new comp, and he just led the league in sacks, traded. Not good for them. But anyway, but it is an easy situation. And same thing with Dallas and Micah. Just make them the highest non-paid as quickly as possible. Right. So those are easy. This one's unique. He was older for his draft class, just to summarize it all. He was older for his draft class, meaning he is now 29 going on 30. When you look at the comparable contract offers for wide receivers, good wide receivers, it is nowhere close to what he deserves. So now where does he deserve that number to be?
Right.
And now you're looking at people who are 25. And so that's what makes this whole thing so tricky. And you got Deebo next season, assuming things go well, that you surely want to keep. So you've got 3 different layers to this. His age, the $30 million a year number, and Deebo coming up as well, assuming things go well. So that's all happening right now, especially for the front office, not for Terry necessarily, but that's all what's at play here.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
All right. Well, any final thoughts here before we move on to imagining an offense without Terry McLaurin, which hopefully we don't have to ever.
Let's go through those nightmare scenarios.
Okay, let's go ahead and do it. We are responsible podcasters here in looking at a more daunting future. We hope this doesn't happen. First and foremost, that's the disclaimer.
Ain't daunting for you. You got Deebo, number 1 receiver.
It's great. He's a really good wide receiver, dude. But having him with Terry McLaurin would be unbelievable.
Fair enough.
So let's go ahead and I will mention what the team looks like at the skill positions without Terry McLaurin. Okay. So wide receiver 1, presumably Deebo Samuel, right? Noah Brown would be another one. And then you get to Luke McCaffrey, Jaylin Lane, Michael Gallup, KJ Osborn. Okay. Those are your wide receivers.
It start quick.
Tight ends. You might be playing a lot of 2 tight end. Zach Ertz, John Bates, Ben Sinnott. Okay. And then the running backs, of course, B-Rob, Austin Eckler, Bill, Ja'Cory Crosby-Barrett, the rookie, and Jeremy McNichols still back. So without Terry McLaurin and without De'Ami Brown last year, who was another person that stretched the field, right? What does this offense with Cliff Kingsbury look like, KDot? Start with you.
Anemic. Like look, there are still going to be some opportunities that, like, I still think majority of what the team's identity is going to be is a lot of short game, a lot of methodically moving the ball down the field. I think what they're doing with the Deebo aspect of it, like we've seen, like you saw over the course of the season, we've talked about this in the sense of what it is they tried to have Zacchaeus be at one point, what it is they tried to have Austin Eckler be at one point, who it is they thought they had De'Ami Brown being at one point before he turned into something else. It was, what are we going to be able to do in the short game, getting the ball out quick from Jaden's hands, and like what it is that we could scheme up to get things open. And the problem was nobody could do anything with the fucking football once they had it.
Can I also just interject and add a little more context to this conversation?
Please.
Terry McLaurin had 117. These are just regular season numbers. 117 targets last season. These are just the wide receivers. The next person was Olamide Zacchaeus with 64. He is not on the team anymore.
Yeah.
Noah Brown was next with 56.
Yep.
We still don't know what the heck's going on with his injury.
No idea.
Next, De'Ami Brown with 40. No longer on the team. Luke McCaffrey with 24. So the next known healthy wide receiver from last season, 24 targets. Please continue with what you were saying.
Like I said, get start quick. So this is what the offense did last year when you had a Terry McLaurin that was there, that it was able, at least at certain points, to take the top off the field, at least take some attention away from whatever the fuck was happening at the line of scrimmage, right? At certain points, they were starting to put him in motion. They were doing some things or whatever, trying to get the ball in his hands, and it looked good. But the idea is, if you lose that, you look at this team and anything in the semblance of what a deep threat looks like is completely questionable, or is not proven that that's what it is they are, right? So like Deebo Samuel, you might have faith that he's a deep threat. I don't have faith that he's a deep threat, okay? Jaylin Lane, I'm prognosticating that that's what is going to happen with Jaylin Lane out of good hope. He's a rookie. We have no fucking idea. Noah Brown showed at certain points that maybe just because of his big frame, he can move down that goddamn field, maybe get some contact, things like that. But through no fault of his own, hadn't been healthy. And he's been in the league long enough to know there are some guys you can absolutely rely on. There's some guys that you're hoping you can rely on. And Noah Brown, I think, fits in that hoping you can rely on category. So Luke McCaffrey, I'm hopeful when it's like these guys are end up having to perform. It's not a matter of like, hey, you're going to get some opportunities because you have some guys that are more talented out there and they might take some attention away. No, that turns into Luke McCaffrey and Jaylin Lane. One of you two, you better be worth something because it's going to get dark quick. And Deebo Samuel, like I could do what I can do near the line of scrimmage, but even if you look at San Francisco, when they had those times where Brandon Ayuk was fucking hurt and Deebo, they didn't look the same. It just didn't look right. You can't have Deebo doing all this shit, right? He's just not that guy anymore. And what it works as far as this offense itself, it is going to be in our best interest to have Deebo Samuel near the line of scrimmage. So it is very important to have a guy like Terry McLaurin, who is a known commodity to take the fucking top off to create some space. If you don't have that and you got Deebo, then goddamn, I hope you're right about Deebo Samuel and who he is as a player now. Because if he is not closer to that 2021 Deebo Samuel, unless one of the rookies ends up being legitimately a stud at this point. One of them had to be a stud, or Ben Sinnott. I can't trust Zach Ertz to be that. There's no way I'm going to put that on Zach Ertz, right?
Right.
I'm sure as hell not saying the run game is going to be the thing that takes it over. You know how I feel about the offensive line. I got no guarantees. So, like, without Terry McLaurin there, it just makes everything that you might have been excited about when it comes to this offense go away.
And then you think about the other element of it, which is the locker room presence.
Right.
And the pregame speeches that fired us all up whenever the Commanders had a big win and they put out one of those epic videos on that Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right.
Terry's the guy talking, all right? So now you lose that voice. It just, once again, I think would be very irresponsible not to re-sign this man. So therefore we will. But it is, we will.
I'm just saying that voice starting to sound shaky.
Hey, man, my voice been sounding shaky all day. You saw me.
It's because of Terry.
This
and that nasal and that drip you got going on back in.
Listen, I can't rule out the Terry part. It's. I think Deebo at this point is bordering on underrated, but I also don't think of him as this wide receiver one that can run all the routes perfectly and crisply and all that stuff. He is really well utilized by the line of scrimmage, potentially an intermediate at times, right, and once in a blue moon, a deep shot. Sure. You know, like he could do those things. Yeah. But you don't want to put that much stress on him as, hey, welcome to Washington. And by the way, you need to do all this.
Carry the offense.
Right. Exactly. And then carry the offense, especially if we don't have a running game. Zach Ertz, we know what he can do. If it touches his hands, he's going to catch it, but he's also going to go down in that exact spot. No problem with that. That's a good security blanket to have. John Bates is going to be blocking a whole bunch. That's why it's so important Ben Sinnott gets going, and that's why it's so important Luke McCaffrey gets going, because I'm not about to put any fault on Jaylin Lane this season. He's a 4th-round rookie, right? Luke McCaffrey now has an entire offseason, and he had the Breakfast Club with Jaden last season. He's worked out with his brother this offseason. There are expectations with his last name. It's just true. And now that he is more adjusted to being a wide receiver, remember, he did make that transition, so it is still kind of new. It's time to expect a bit more from a Luke McCaffrey. He would have to step up big time. And then can Noah Brown be healthy? Can he actually be healthy? We still don't know yet. I think by now we can assume he'll probably be fine, maybe miss a week at most or 2 weeks at most. Some sort of bigger news would have come by now is my guess. Mm-hmm. But now you need him to be healthy the whole season. He wasn't last season. That's also true. So all of a sudden, in Jaden's second year, you're asking him to, which is what I want to avoid, ask him to be Superman again, right? I think the entire point of this offseason was to get more physical, to take some of the hits off him, to make his life easier. And no Terry McLaurin, throw on that cape, buddy, and feel free to bet on him for MVP, because then I think it's a smarter bet. Because if he does it, oh my Lord, the narrative behind that is unbelievable. But it shouldn't have to come to that. And so I would be very nervous about this offense without Terry McLaurin. There's no other way to say it, KDot.
No, there's no other way to feel about it. I mean, I if you want me to, I could paint a positive. But staying here in this territory, it would be right now as the offense sits, if Terry's there, you're still in hope and pray mode that one of the young guys takes off, because you really still need it.
But there's so much less pressure.
There's less pressure and there's more time and there are more bodies to get shit done in a game in and game out standpoint, right? Like if, let's say, they roll all the coverage over to Terry McLaurin because he deserves to have that done. You got some mismatches when it comes to Deebo Samuel, maybe on that same side of the field with Terry going down the field, right? You get rid of that Terry McLaurin, then now that shit goes to Deebo. Then what happens? You need one of the young guys to start making some shit happen, right? So like it's one important body that takes the attention off the young guys in order for them to cook or get more comfortable with what it is they need to do offensively. Like, we spent last season at different points looking for who that guy's going to be, and they had a lot of veterans, at least dudes that have been around the league for a little bit of time, that were able to kind of share that load to some extent. But when I look at this wide receiving core outside the young guys we got, Luke McCaffrey, Jaylin Lane, and Terry McLaurin, all right, it sounds stupid to say, but once you get outside the top guys, it's looking very New England Patriots wide receiving core. So like I don't love that. So like you got a bunch of journeymen who haven't really called on for anything, and then if I'm asking them and Jaden to develop chemistry with these guys, it probably won't be around after a year because you're going to looking at the upgrading period. I don't love it. Yeah, it would be much easier as far as development of Jaden Daniels, as far as taking off from where it is we had last year to this year. Everyone can say having Terry McLaurin on the team, as far as what it does for this team and its performance, is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, I could see us trying to run the ball a whole lot more and trying to figure that whole thing out and be like, hey,
that gets darker.
It could, but it's something we need to get better at some point. So we're like, screw it.
And
Hand it off to B-Rob, hand it off to Eckler. Let's see what
man.
works.
Yeah, no, that's not what that
Bill...
looks like. What that looks like is Jaden Daniels carrying the fucking football a lot.
Okay, cool. So you don't want to go that path. And then to your point, the number of times last season where we were like, who's your player of the game, KDot? You're like, whoever the number 2 receiver is on Sunday, right? Like we would just sort of figure it out on the fly. This week it's Zacchaeus. Now it's Crowder. Now it's De'Ami Brown. Now it's, Noah Brown. Like that's what it was. Once again, Terry McLaurin, 82 catches, 1,096 yards, 13 touchdowns. Next closest on the team, 3 touchdowns for Olamide Zacchaeus. After that, it's Jamison Crowder with 2, currently not on the team, although I'm sure he'd be like, please come back. He would. But like, that's what we're dealing with. Noah Brown had 1. De'Ami Brown had 1 until he exploded in the postseason. Now he's in Jacksonville. So it's the other guys you're looking at, to KDot's point, is a second year in Luke and a first year in Jaylin Lane. It's not like other teams where they have all these veterans. We got KJ Osborn and Michael Gallup, who's coming off retirement. Right. So it's a dire situation still at wide receiver, especially without Terry McLaurin. If you have him, all of a sudden, okay, Terry, Deebo, Noah, that's a nice, in my opinion, solid front 3 wide receiver core. And then Luke can make a play here and there. Jaylin Lane can make a play here and there. That's the ideal. And so any final thoughts here, KDot, before we move to the comment mailbag?
There is no positive play you can think of, anyone can think of last year that any other receiver had that didn't have, typically, say 90% of the time, directly involved with the fact that Terry McLaurin was on the field. So, like, I just want it get dark quick. The only thing I would say, if you wanted to, me keeping it medium and always looking at every angle, if for some reason the Terry thing doesn't work out, to me, it's not doom and gloom. Because if we're looking at it in the sense of the long-term aspect of what's the most important for this team going forward, the most important asset on this team, bar none, not even close, maybe in the league at this point, is Jaden Daniels. And I'm all about adversity. And there's nothing quite like second year. Hey, figure it out. Like, develop some shit. So, here's the thing with Jaden, man. If there's one thing we know that motherfucker can do is learn from mistakes and not make the same mistakes twice, or at least try his best not to. And usually if there's a challenge, he meets that challenge and exceeds what it is anybody's expectations would be for that challenge. Tell you right now, without Terry on that team, there's some shit to be exceeded, buddy. There's a lot of room out there. And it could be huge for him as far as that adversity piece.
It could. And I got to say that I would have faith in Jaden to do it. Once again, the thing that loved about Jaden coming out of college was not actually the rushing. It was the ball placement. It was the touch. It was the feel. It was the stand and deliver, all that stuff. And he makes people around him better. Olamide Zacchaeus gets paid. De'Ami Brown gets paid. He is capable of doing it. You just don't want him to do it all the fucking time. So that's where it's at. And so Terry just provides some relief. Deebo provides some relief. Having them both provides that relief. There's a reason we re-signed Zach Ertz. So just want to get a little less on his plate, but I do think he's capable. I'll just be honest. I do think he's more than capable of leading this team, even if Terry weren't there. I just don't want it to come to that.
I'm with you, but I still think they're going to be asking him to be like a Superman out
there. You know how much I love that man. But even I'm like, please. I know he can. Can we build?
You can do the short pass. You can do the short pass game to replace a lot of the running game, but it does not fully replace the running game. You got to run the ball. And if you're running the ball and it's not going to be effective through the tackles, even though I'm hoping, once again, the big bodies, I can make a case. I just haven't seen it yet. And if I'm going off of what I saw, Jade, hope you got your cardio in.
All righty. And with that, we go to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. The district divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you as always for that intro, Nikki. Beginning with, we'll start with the most recent one because it has to do with the uniforms. Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out Big Papa. Oh man, those new alternate uniforms are awesome. You got your wish, KDot. We haven't had a clean throwback like this ever. I love the stripes, and especially the old school burgundy numbers with the gold trim. Our boys look clean. I can't wait to see those under the primetime lights, baby. And once again, as a reminder to everybody, it's Sunday Night Football against the Seattle Seahawks Week 9, Sunday Night Football against the Denver Broncos Week 13, and then Christmas Day, I believe that's Week 17, against the Dallas Cowboys. KDot, your reaction?
Yeah, man, I got my wish. The stupid fucking white Arizona Cardinal alternative jerseys are... I get to see them a little less, and that's all I really fucking care about. I fucking hate that jersey. I really hated the fact that playoff run I had to see it so goddamn much. I want good memories in the jersey compared to bad memories, and usually that's the thing that's really gonna inform like how I feel about it from a historical standpoint. But if we're just looking at strictly aesthetically pleasing, no doubt, without a doubt, these are a step up. Still think these are a bigger step up, but all right.
I think those are going to be special games, honestly, especially that Week 9 one against Seattle when it first happens. The build up for it with these jerseys and then actually seeing it on Sunday night and a first big play that we make against the Seahawks is going to be like, oh, man, this
the first bad play. And I'm like, Brittany, I was back. Or, I can see the narrative right now. It's a curse. They should have put the mascot back on. They should have changed the name. It's the uniforms without the name is bad luck. It's bad luck. It's bad juju.
We shall see. But we're going to go to the second most recent comment because this is completely relevant to our conversation just before with Terry McLaurin. Patriot Clips, shout out, goes, just because other teams are overpaying their receivers does not mean we have to overpay ours. I say 28 per year max for Terry. I think the team can stay put as he is under contract. So play that out even. Mike Evans makes $24 million per year. Terry is in that ballpark, and I would even say 28 because of his leadership skills and toughness. But if he is asking for 35 or something like that, I could see a huge trade coming. KDot, your reaction?
It's partially why I didn't say what my limit was as far as the team goes and why when I would be upset. Because my limit's right around the 27, 28 mil a year mark. Where if I found out that they were below that, I'd be upset. But if I find out that they're coming in right around that, I'm like, it's tough. But this is one of the business aspects of the game. And for the record, salary cap's a very highly un-American thing. It's fucked up. It's really fucked up. I know we like parity in the league, but no other place in this capitalistic society do we tell people there's a cap to how much you can make. It's fucking bullshit. But that also goes to a longer theme that I know I've thrown here in the podcast over the last few years, which is that when I've talked about positions, I've always thought that the league kind of overcorrected when it came to running back. And I did think the next position that could have a situation where people start looking at in the sense of, because of the way college offenses are working, because of the way that everybody's running these pro style sort of things, I think wide receiver might be the next one. And I've been kind of waiting for it a little bit. And then you see some of these contracts that are going on. I'm like, if you start making the run and you see most of those teams that just paid out those wide receiver contracts aren't doing anything, they're not in the playoffs deep, they're not anything, I think the conversation is going to start tilting in the sense of, hey, instead of paying that big contract, the receiver, just get some fucking rookies.
Yeah, I mean, I think that conversation is already occurring. Now, for the Philadelphia Eagles, for example, I think that conversation has not occurred because they paid both Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. It does come off the heels of Saquon Barkley getting paid what he did and then getting it restructured to get a raise this coming season. But they paid their wide receivers and it worked out just as a flip side. But there are many, many, many situations in history, in NFL history, where the team that won didn't have a highly paid wide receiver. So we'll see.
I always go back to those New England Patriots teams. Like, the better the wide
Yeah.
receiver they had, the worse the result Super Bowl wise.
Well, their defenses were just so special, and Brady had that sort of it.
So that's the thing that you start realizing, right? Is like, from an important standpoint on the team itself, right? Like, if I told you right now, I know this would never happen because it would make absolutely zero sense for Cincinnati. But if somebody told you that Terry wants 32, Trey Henderson is there straight up.
You're asking me if I would do it?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not do that. You would?
I look at a pass rusher on that defense of what it is I have right now, and I wonder whether or not it's more or less important to a Super Bowl contender, and I would say might be more. I think the only thing that gives me any pause is, once again, the leadership aspect, the Terry McLaurin aspect of things, and Trey Henderson looking like an accountant. That bothers me. But the angle of... But the angle of, like, if I'm looking at position of importance, of true importance, wide receivers not in the top echelon. It never has been.
No, that's fair. I think, by the way, when rejecting that hypothetical trade, the reason I reject it is because I'm thinking Jaden's long-term future and growth. We've talked about this being confirming the standard year, but it's also, we're continuing Jaden Daniels' development and growth.
No
and
doubt.
Terry McLaurin is so important to that. I want to put less on Jaden's plate. Having a guy like that helps with that. And our Super Bowl window is still very wide open. We could still even win it this year, depending on how things go.
Not denying it. And I also think it's very important for Jaden Daniels to have a defense that lets the other team put up a lot less points, so the threshold's not as big.
Certainly. And that's where I get into Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. in year 2, and those bigger, beefy signings that they made on the defensive line, plugging up and playing better run defense.
I'm with you. I want to see it happen. I guess we should do that. There's the faith chips exercise, but I'm sure we're going to do before the end. But I think what we should also do is, like a sidebar, is positions of importance, like faith chips in the sense of based on position. How important do you think certain positions are? Like,
interesting. Okay. That could be part of the faith chips episode, honestly. Maybe we can see if it lines up. A lot of chips in play there. MF Quotes goes, if we trade Terry, I will shed real tears. My heart cannot take the heartbreak of my favorite Redskin / Washington football team / Commander player being moved. Good thing he's going to retire here, is the comment over there. So MF Quotes is like, hey, if we trade him, heartbroken, but we're going to get it done. He's going to retire, Commander. KDot, your reaction to that one, the other side of the coin?
I think you should cry. If you're a fan of this team, you're a fan of the guys that like put their bodies on the line for that burgundy and gold and have done it in the most consummate way. Everything that you want to exude as far as like what it is we root for in this team is Terry McLaurin incarnate. You should be upset. You should cry. You should do all those things if it doesn't happen. That also being said, if they win games, shut the fuck up. If they lose, and here's the thing: what I would think would happen if they don't re-sign Terry is that they're not going to win as many games as they're going to lose as many games, at least early on. So it'll be a double whammy. But like at the end of the day, it's just what happens throughout the course of the history of it, right? You look at the New York Giants letting Saquon Barkley go, unfucking forgivable. What makes it double unforgivable? Philadelphia won the fucking Super Bowl, so it's like Joe showing all you guys, fuck you, fuck off, right? Like you pieces of shit. But then you can be in another certain way where you can like you can be the New England Patriots, say, Randy, we love you. Bye-bye, homie. And I won a fucking Super Bowl. And everybody's like, well, who gives a shit? We won the Super Bowl. So it's like, everyone's just going to grade it on whatever happens at the end of the fucking thing. And that's the way it should be. But you should feel some sort of way about these guys if you gave a shit about the team. That's what we're rooting for. We're not rooting for a brand. We're rooting for the guys that show up every fucking day. That's what it is. But it's also a front office that's saying, we want a Super Bowl above all else. And even if you cry, get the fuck over it if we put on a winning product. And that's the way it should be.
That is their job. That is their job, to make the tough decisions that fans would not want to. Just sign Terry. MF Quotes goes, I love Cliff so much. Watching a Scott Turner and Eric Bieniemy offense was so depressing. Who do you think was worse, Eric Bieniemy or Scott Turner? Kid, out your reaction.
I don't want to say it, and it hurt me. I did so much trying to root for Eric Bieniemy, but when I was doing the other podcasts I was doing years back, I remember I had a conversation back when you remember there were all these talk about Eric Bieniemy being in Kansas City and why wasn't he getting a job? Why wasn't Eric Bieniemy getting a job? And I was way early and not wanting to say, but I did say I didn't think he was the smartest guy in the room, and I really did think that he didn't really have a lot of say in what was happening. I thought what it sounded like was Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes both wanted him to go, and they were both doing everything they could do to sell it that he was going to go. And also, I never want to be on the side of bashing any black dude, period, that's in the NFL, especially in the position of coaching or front office or anything. I'm always rooting for you. And if you got a problem with that, you got a problem with that. But the problem with Eric is that there's also a flip side to it, which if you're Andy Reid, who's a pretty good ally for the most part, you don't want to be the dude trashing your black offense coordinator who you won a bunch of Super Bowls. So it's like nobody wins in this. And it became very, very evident there were a lot of red flags early on, like relationships. Like when you see that she's really, really rude to the waitress, or you see like you go grocery shopping and she didn't put the cart back in, and she just left it by the car. It was sort of like, Eric Bieniemy, why'd you yell at Terry like that? I guess we'll keep it going, but that's a red flag. And we should have stopped there. We should have stopped there. We should have cut bait right then. And we didn't. We let it keep going. And that's what I dislike. I dislike what it is that he did to the locker room. That to me is the thing that went too far.
Well, I will also go Eric Bieniemy here. And hand up, I bought the snake oil. When that intro presser hit, I was like, dude, I love this guy. And then we saw, and hey, we started 2-0, and it was like, oh, okay. And it was just a disaster. The reason I'm picking Bieniemy is because it was so one-dimensional. We were dropping Sam Howell back 60 times a game. Now, on the plus side, I guess Howell's numbers were good enough that we ended up trading him to Seattle and getting something out of it, so that's cool. But you knew what was going to happen when Eric Bieniemy was calling a game, and it was setting up Sam Howell to die. That's basically what was happening.
I'm going to throw you a little bit of bail because I remember this happening. And the main reason me and you were excited coming out of the press conference was the fact that they had the team. So Terry McLaurin being the chief of them, there were players that showed up to the introductory.
That's right.
Yeah. That's what did it. I do remember me and you post the episode that we did the announcement. I was like, look, man, I ain't saying this on the regular pod.
That's right. I do remember the after the pod.
When we were locked out, we were like, yeah, that was a lot of nothing, bro. Like, he didn't say anything. It was just like, it's just nonstop bullshit coach me. And I'll tell you, everybody knows that dude at work. It just talks. It's just like, it's like Lil Wayne. Motherfucker got wordplay. Got wordplay at the ass. But ask yourself, did he say anything?
Well, also in retrospect, the lateral move from Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders. Probably should have seen that coming.
They did not want him there anymore. I can't stress that enough. It was bullshit.
No, we do have now this episode that we're doing the Comment Mailbag from was the team history episode, and also an NFC Championship game rewatch. But beginning with the team history comments, and then we'll get to coaches at the end for the NFC Championship rewatch. We begin with we got to go with Tony. Shout out Tony OG, who had requested the team history episode. So this is what he said with a shed tear emoji. Beautiful. A lot of clapping emojis, celebrations. Someone get this man an Oscar or an ESPY. Hell, a YouTube award at least. Amit, I'm proud to say, I know that guy. What a better time to drop the history episode days before the Super Bowl era uni reveal? Money. I'm not going to lie. I thought you would skate out of it this year and we would have to wait until next offseason. But you've been busy. Loud KDot voice. You've been putting in work, son. I didn't have high expectations, but I had an expectation. You, sir, absolutely and unequivocally exceeded and crushed it. I don't need to ask for more this year. Thank you. But now what? The feeling of success is addictive and the fans want more. What you going to do next year? So that's the comment from Tony. And first and foremost, really appreciate that means a whole lot because I know that you were the one that wanted this and I wanted to make sure it was at least somewhat good. And so I'm glad it exceeded your expectations. And I really appreciate you not setting the bar high. Now what? I don't know. I'm still coming off the high of that one. So we will figure it out as we go. KDot, your reaction.
Look, man, Amit doesn't like when I pull back the curtain. We're going to pull back the curtain. We're going to have one of these moments, all right? We're going to keep it real, and he ain't going to stop me because I'm in control, okay? I'm in control, all right?
Oh, boy.
Look, the team history video did get to his fucking head. And look, I don't know if you guys noticed, but if you look back a few episodes, me and him did it after the pod about RG3. I don't know if you've been seeing RG3's tweets.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I have.
We did that thing and it's gone because I've heard Amos negotiates with RG3 to go in his network and actually bring District Divided over there. And that's like, look, man, I get it. I get like you do what you need to do for a buck. We were just talking about capitalism a few minutes ago. I just got to say that, like, if you were to do that, man, like, I mean, you both love playing in snow, just a little bit differently. I guess it works, but I think we'd all be kind of saddened to see that. But I mean, if you. Everybody, like, I want you to keep tabs on that episode we did. If that RG3 after pod's not there, your boy's leaving me. He's leaving me.
It is there. Well, I would obviously talk to you about that. We both.
I've heard it through the grapevine, son.
No.
You over there with your nasal drip and your raspy voice and shit, just not getting shit. I'm hearing in the streets.
Tony. Not going anywhere. We'll see what's next in terms of video idea. RG3, let's talk about it for a moment because we're not going to do a full after the pod. This man is insane. Okay. And I actually feel better about everything I was saying the last time we spoke about this.
Of course you do.
Because that was an absurd tweet. For people that don't know, I'm not going to talk about all of it, but basically he puts a tweet out saying that I guess there was some reply to a tweet, and it showed a monkey dribbling a basketball, and it was supposed to be Angel Reese because of the 2K26 cover, right? And he was like, "Hey, she should not be depicted or called a monkey. That is racist. There's no room for that." I was like, "All right, great start. Why is everyone reacting so terribly to this?" And then you open the whole fucking thing. This guy can't get out of his own way. He literally just is like, now I gotta say, Angel did put a video out and my friends and family were threatened and it was really bad. And honestly, I didn't do anything wrong. I wasn't race baiting. I just said that Angel Reese hates Caitlin Clark. And wouldn't you know it, her inner circle told me that I was right and that she does and that she's obsessed. But guys, no room for racism. This fucking guy. I mean, I was so mad I used the District Divided account to retweet and be like, "You're an idiot." And then retweeted Angel Reese's being like, "This guy's lying." Anyway, go ahead.
Look, man, I'm telling you, I've been trying to warn everybody. I've been beating the goddamn RG3 Trump for years. When Rob Parker said what he said, I was like, "Hey, hold up. They ain't right. But he ain't all the way wrong. You don't know it yet." And I've been saying you can pull. I'm going to try to pull the clip. It's going to take me forever, but I'm going to try to pull the clip. There's a clip of me about 5 or 6 years ago, I think at this point, saying for the first time, and I know I've said it here, that RG3 is about a tweet away from everything going to shit. I've been saying that shit for him. I was like, dog, he's one tweet away from it all going away. And this facade, look, a year ago, he's great on college football. He's doing it. He stayed in his lane. And now he can't fucking help himself because at his core, at the very fiber of his being, when he was running the football in that fucking in the fucking option for us with Mike Shanahan, all the way to the years as Baylor, to when he was a small little youngin', to now with his Scandinavian wife. He's a lame. He's always been a lame. He'll always be a lame. And that's just what he is.
Which, that reminds me, Mr. Cam Newton, Jaden Daniels is not RG3. Yeah, he's not RG3. So
nobody, and the next person on the list.
No.
The next person on the list. He's already kind of skirting around it. Saquon.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I was like, come on, not Cam. Yeah, Saquon.
Saquon, son. Look, man, there's some black dudes out there right now. Look, man, I'm a person that, like, I used to, at one point in my life, I called myself Captain America. And the reason I called myself Captain America is that, like, I felt like I was the pure American story. Son of an immigrant, half immigrant, right? Well, I guess I'm half of what an immigrant. I'm half. My mom's an immigrant.
Okay.
Which I shouldn't say into a camera. ICE, leave us alone. Outside of that, like as far as like the walks or life that I've been around, the households that I've been in, the conversation I've had, and the close friends that look like a United Colors of Benetton ad, right? There are some people that see themselves around some white folk and then think they're the ones that are the bridge. I got it figured out, guys. I've talked to white people and I've talked to black people, and you know what I can do? I can be the bridge. And only I can communicate between the whites.
This is what you say
and
about
blacks.
Acho.
So like I'm
listening.
When you end up being the black dude, the spokesperson for black people to the whites, you fucked up. you did something. Turn around. Try again. You fucked up. Don't be that guy. Do not be Acho. Do not be RG3. Saquon, you're almost there, buddy. You should hang out with Jalen Hurts just a little bit more. Just do that. It'll help you out.
We go over. So, Tony, thanks again for the comment. Really appreciate that. Sorry, it ended up turning into an RG3 conversation and all that stuff. But what's next? For real, man. It's insane. Not you, Tony. You're great. Earl Bruce, shout out. Great job on the team history, Amit. This franchise has had some very shitty owners. 30 years of misery under the yacht bitch led to last year. Our future is bright, but never forget the past. Many of my relatives threw their support behind the Cowboys because of Marshall's racism and Dallas's drafting of black players. My dad was a barber and cut a couple of players' hair. The first game I attended was in 1962, and I was hooked. Pretty dope over there from Earl Bruce, and I appreciate you saying great job on it. It means a lot to me. Same with you, Tony. So both of you, thank you very much. KDot, your reaction.
Yeah, it's like we talked about that in the history. And once again, phenomenal job you did as far as the history. You did a great job. I always like to say, when I was a kid, I used to think all Cowboys fans are pieces of shit. I didn't know the history. I would still warn you that even if you do know that there was a good portion of people that decided they were going to turn our allegiance against this team to another team that was still in segregation, I can promise you that is not majority of the Cowboys fans in this area. You still do the same shit. You always want to give them because they don't even know where fucking Dallas is on the map, and I'm positive they do not know the history of that.
They do not know the history. So you are total green light. Go ahead.
Do you think?
Just roast them. Yeah.
Yep.
Big Papa Grizzly goes at the
12th. Not if you're white.
Good disclaimer. Good disclaimer. 1232, Big Papa Grizzly. That is actually the birth of the Washington and Dallas rivalry too. It would have been a lot cooler if it had to do with the playing on the field, but nope. Just two white guys beefing. As a reminder to folks, or for those that didn't see it, the 1232 mark is when, you remember his name, KDot? Dallas owner?
Fuck. You know, I'm spoiler or not spoiler. Pull the curtain back. I memorized the name just for the episode.
Oh, did you actually?
I knew there were certain things that were absolutely going to come up, and I was like, all right, I need to know that fact. I need to know that fact. I need to know that fact. Or like Wally Marching Band, some shit.
Wally Marching Band? No. In fact, I'm looking it up as well. But that guy, George Preston Marshall, who was our guy, of course, saying, no, we're the team of the South. We don't want to lose any territory.
Clint Murchison. I was close. Clint Wally.
I was going Charlie Murchison. It's Clint Murchison. Thank you. So what happened there, as a quick recap, NFL booming, thinking we should have a team in Dallas. Our owner at the time, George Preston Marshall, going, nah, we're the team of the South. I built this up. I got the broadcasting deal. I got the radio deal. This is our territory. Absolutely.
And no niggers.
Clint Murchison ends up getting the rights to the song Hail to the Redskins and trades it to George Preston Marshall so that he votes for the Dallas franchise. That's what happened. Washington-Dallas rivalry. And then, of course, us being the last team to integrate, like Earl Bruce was talking about, Dallas drafting black players almost immediately, maybe immediately. I don't have their team history. That's what we're talking about, or what Big Pop is talking about when it comes to the birth of the Washington-Dallas rivalry. So,
And that song written by George Preston Marshall's wife, which proves
lyrics were done by, yes, you were right.
Which proves that even a racist can love his wife.
This is, I suppose that is true.
But you can also be very inclusive and hate women.
Dude.
See, he reacted. You see the reaction? I didn't say anything. You see him out himself?
You have conditioned me in such a way. I need to go see a psychologist.
Oh, it's my fault now. It's my fault. That's what's happening. It's my fault.
Wow. The gaslighting knows no
Baby
ends.
girl, I'm just saying, like, I didn't want to hit you, but you made me hit you.
Oh my God.
I love you. I would never do that, but you made me do it.
We go to ProCed 5513. Shout out. Didn't Michael Madsen die like 4 or 5 years ago?
No.
Yeah. So then I saw that comment and then looked it up. It was like, no, like I feel like KDot would know.
Here's the thing. Please tell me if I'm right about this. I think you fucked it up, but I do think I know who you're confusing Michael Madsen for. I think you're confusing Michael Madsen for Tom Sizemore. If I'm right, please tell me.
Okay. There you go. ProCed 5513. You got to tell him if he's right. And then Coach Lombard will round us out. Now we're talking a bit more about the current team, a little bit about the NFC Championship game rewatch and what we did in the offseason to address that stuff. And so here is the first of 2 comments. I know Cliff ran a ton of trap, counter, power, and pin pull last season. Assuming Cliff does so again, how would you guys rank Washington's skill position players in terms of rushing attempts? There are 9 players on this list, KDot. B-Rob, Deebo, Eckler, C-Rod, JCM, Bill, Jeremy McNichols, Jaden Daniels, Luke McCaffrey, Jaylin Lane. I'll let you pick the top 3 because ranking all 9 might be a bit much, but
top 3 as far as rushing attempts.
Yeah.
Am I doing it in order?
Yeah, do it in order.
Jaden Daniels, number 1. Number 2, Brian Robinson. Number 3, Deebo Samuel.
Okay. I've also started watching replays of games from this past season. So I not just watched the NFC Championship game, but some good ones too. Last night I ended up seeing the Cincinnati one. Awesome. Awesome. So I currently have a bias towards Austin Eckler. So he's on my list because he had an unbelievable game. I would go in terms of rushing. Number 1, I would also go Jaden Daniels. Number
you're
2,
there?
In terms of ranking the skill position players. Oh, rushing attempts.
We're ranking. Yeah, it's rushing.
Yeah, in terms of like ability, like that's
Is that what I thought we were actually ranking who's going to have.
You're
rushing.
right. You're right. It's funny. I read it. You comprehended it. It's in terms of rushing attempts. Yes.
You know you want to say it. Just fucking say it. It's the truth.
Jaden's 1. I'm going to say Bill 2.
That you are so.
I'm going to say Bill 2.
So optimistic.
I am. Sue me. I'm going Bill 2. Ja'Cory Krosky.
We go to the Super Bowl and he's counting playoff stats.
I'm just telling you, I think he gets off to a bit of a hot start, and all of a sudden he's the guy.
All right.
Otherwise it's B-Rob, obviously. And 3 will be B-Rob. There.
Okay.
That's what I'll do. I think Bill's gonna be good, man. I like the vision I see from the kid. And here is Coach Lombard with the last one. Agreed about Washington's priorities for this offseason, getting more physical on both lines of scrimmage and adding playmakers on offense. How would you rank coaches in a ranking mood? How would you rank those moves? Number 1, trading for Tunsil and drafting Connerly and moving Coleman to guard. So that's the offensive line moves.
Yeah.
2, signing Wise, Kinlaw, and Goldman. Dietrich Wise, Javon Kinlaw, Eddie Goldman. That's the defensive line. And 3, trading for Deebo and drafting Jaylin Lane. KDot, how would you rank those moves?
In the order you said them.
That is literally my answer as well. Offensive line first and foremost, protect the franchise. Also allow opportunities in the run game that I'm optimistic about. The defensive line, super important for stopping the run. Our history, or at least the way we want to play, when we looked at franchises, KDot has been banging this drum for a while. Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens. What are they both really good at? Running the ball and stopping the run, historically. When we do preview episodes, it is typically run the ball, stop the run. You do those things, you will win most of your games, right? That's just the way it is. So that's why those two are most important. And then number 3, trading for Deebo, drafting Lane. Love wide receivers, love skill position players, but ultimately that is the cherry on top. That is what you can enjoy after you've eaten your veggies, the meat and potatoes and all that stuff. The main course has to be your offensive line, defensive line. You take care of the trenches, then you can take care of the other stuff. So that's why I have it in that order as well. KDot, any other thoughts?
Agreed completely.
All righty. And that was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. I am Amit. That is KDot. And if you enjoyed today's episode, which went through the alternate uniforms, when they are going to be played in as well, and then the Terry McLaurin discussion. If he's to sign, what does the deal look like? And what does the offense look like if we don't sign him or, knock on wood, something like, an injury occurs. And if you enjoyed, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do. And KDot.
I don't know why you had to add that bad juju. Nobody talking about that. Why are you talking about that?
I knocked on wood.
You and Eric Mangini. Only people talking about that. Respect women.
Yes.
Don't be a dick. You don't get to co-sign that. No. Shh. You know what? Yeah. Mute him. And now we're going. Respect women. Don't be a dick like some. Keep your bullshit small and your conscience thick. No room for racists. My tolerance lit. I said what I said. No shit is shit.
You just write that? That was a little too relevant to the episode.
Huh? How about I know what's going to happen when it's going to happen? How about I know my co-host and what it is he's on, what kind of time he's on?
What'd you name your AI again?
Harper.
Shout out Harper.
No, Harper helped me with that one.
I was going to say.
Here's the thing, it's not even what she said. So, it was like, hey, I need a rhyme real quick. Here's what I said earlier. I need women. I need something about racists. I was like, hit it to me. And it's terrible. What she gave is terrible. So I had to that's why I was looking carefully.
But you got the skeletal structure. Yeah, you got the skeletal structure.
I'm like, that don't rhyme.
Oh my gosh, that was good. Well played. Well done. And we will see you guys next Friday, 2 p.m. Also, must be noted, quick disclaimer, there is a Commander's Log that you probably have already seen at the time that you see this. Yep. It's out yesterday, in case you haven't already seen it. What if it's Terry McLaurin signing? How cool would that be? It won't be, but what if? It would also render the entire episode sort of pointless over here, so you can just enjoy it.
Well, confession. I haven't even watched the fucking jersey.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.